guy?
Ta-da!
And who is this wonderful lady? Welcome, everybody, and welcome back to the Canadian Bro Show. My name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show, and we're very excited with our new episode 80 at the Canadian Bro Show. This would be our 140th episode since our short journey a little over a year and a half ago. And today's journey, before I go into my sort of intro on our guest, the very handsome and charismatic chap that seems to be probably one of the best in shape 61-year-old dudes I've ever met is none other than Mr. Johnny Leister, the co-host with the most. Anytime Johnny's willing to talk about and he pumps those guns out, we're talking 8% body fat. We'll just leave it at that. If you're 61 and you have 8% body fat, our old PA teacher, I give a shout out to Mr. Lawson from Kitsilano Secondary. He just had his 94th birthday, and he looks the exact same as he did when we graduated from Kitsilano in 1983. And his secret was being thin and drinking lots of whiskey at the right time. He was like a liquor stick. I'm telling you. He had a whiskey bottle in the old... it worked for him. And whatever is working for anybody in this crazy world. Today's show is really interesting. Johnny is our co-host of the most. I'll let him chat in a second, and I'll let Johnny introduce our Kalelin, Marianne, Kirk, who is our third time back in the show, which is just fantastic. And I want to do just a little blurb on her story and why she's back, and hopefully be back for many more. Welcome back to episode 80. We're very happy to have back anytime on the Canadian Bro Show in the infancy of this podcast on YouTube at the Canadian Bro Show. We welcome back one of our original dynamic female bros and our first female bro on the Canadian Bro Show, which is historic in itself. And that is none other than the lovely and talented, charismatic Kalelin, Marianne, Kirk. Thank you kindly for joining us again. And it's her third appearance on the podcast. And just a little blurb on, if you haven't seen the two previous episodes that she's been on. One is on the Kitsilano comic book shop, and the other is on her near fatal car accident. After recently surviving a near fatal car accident, Marianne shares her remarkable journey of healing, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, with honesty and optimism. She reflects on how the experience has reshaped her perspective on life, her recovery, and moving forward in a cautiously optimistic, renewed purpose. And having dedicated decades to her career and education, Marianne also offers up a thoughtful female perspective on the rewards and challenges of teaching in British Columbia during the 21st century. Together, we explore her resilience, spiritual guidance, personal growth, and what it means to embrace a new chapter after life's most difficult moments. This inspiring conversation is about perseverance, hope, self-discovery, and education, as well as the strength to rebuild when life changes in an instant. Welcome back, Kalelin, Marianne, Kirk. Thank you for joining us.
We can make her better than she was before.
The bionic woman.
Stronger, faster.
Thank you for having me again. It's an honor.
Well, it's our honor to have you back, Marianne.
Yeah, totally.
Always an incredible pleasure to see you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us. I have a few questions for you about teaching and education, and maybe tell us a little bit about your educational background and how you got started as your career as a teacher, like elementary school teacher. Is that correct?
Now, yes, but originally when I was going through my teacher education training, which was through UBC, I was in the secondary program. So I was training to be a high school teacher. And my first part of my career was doing that, mostly doing English, literature, social studies, and theater, and a little bit of film and TV. But some things happened, and I sort of ended up doing more and more positions doing elementary, and I guess that's where I was meant to be. So the last several years I've been in different schools, both in the Lower Mainland in independent schools, and now back up in the Cariboo in public schools. And I just finished a 7-year stint at one school, and I was also the teacher librarian there, and I really loved it. things happened, though. The job kind of came to an end thanks to, actually, in our case, low enrollment for next year. So I had to apply for a new position. I'm very fortunate that I was given another position at a different school, also not too far from where I live, on the mountainside of Williams Lake. So next year I'll be doing grade 4.
Wow.
Grade 4.
Wow.
Well, congratulations on getting the new gig, because the last time we talked to you, I think you didn't have a gig.
Yeah,
and that's what we were curious about. Before we go deeper into the educational thing, can Johnny, and before you start your questions, if you don't mind, can we ask you, and since the last time we talked, I mean, you look remarkably healthy, you look fresh, you've got great color.
Summer holidays now.
I mean, so you're recovering. I would take it that Johnny and I were going to ask you how you're recovering from the accident, because that can be a real life-changing. How are you doing? You got the job, so that must have helped.
It did. It was a very stressful year, especially the last term. It was, and the job application process was difficult, and I was kind of a little bit heartbroken to lose my previous position, because I really loved doing it, and I hope I get to do library work again. Probably have to take some courses so I can qualify in the future if another opportunity comes up. And then, as for the car accident, I'm very grateful. I'm pretty much fully recovered, physically anyway. It's been a hard road, and it was a lot to juggle. But now, I've had a week now to just it was very stressful towards the end, and I had to do some moving as well. But now I've had time to actually try to address other parts of my life, including my disaster of a house that I just.
Your house looks immaculate.
Pardon?
Your house looks immaculate. Looks brand new.
Yeah. The messy desk right beside me. I have to sort all the music that's on it. It's been a good hard road, but I've also had a lot of support. I'm really grateful to have Mom here. That's why I moved.
How is your mom? How old is she?
She's just turned 80.
Wow.
This year, and she had a stroke last summer, so she's really doing well right now. But she's
good for her.
Back up to the Caribou again.
I do live near you?
Terribly, but she's the reason I'm here, and she's been also really helpful, and my other family too, and my friends, and
it sounds like everything's falling into place nicely, and congrats on the job as well. And before we get into that, because we really like Johnny and I, since we've been out of education, and by the way, in my career we do education every 2 years, mandatory education, and I'm learning all the time. You guys are learning all the time. I know we're all prolific.
Lifelong learners.
We're all good readers and writers and educators, and whether I have a degree or not doesn't take anything away from that. But is there any one thing that you think about what's happened that has been so obviously a positive thing, or has it just been sort of learning how to get through it all and organically allowing those doors to open when they do?
You mean like in terms of the career, do you mean?
Yeah, the career after the accident, your mom's situation, the family, being where you are. I mean, there's so many dynamic aspects of your life. Has there been any signals in a positive way? Your angels, perhaps, because I know you got angels with you.
I must, because
you do.
I wouldn't even be here.
Right.
And, sometimes I get overwhelmed, like a lot of people. It's just a very tough line of work. The workload is immense. This past job was a lot. Was juggling a lot and had to answer to a lot of people. So that has its stresses, but it also has its joys. It has its blessings. It has many things that are really, really good. And sometimes you need to be able to step back from it to see that, though. Because when you're mired in the middle of it, it can be a lot. It can be overwhelming.
And by the way, if I remember Johnny, just really quick, because she just triggered something in me in their last interview when she said the accident I'm sorry to go back to it, but I mean, I believe these things happen in life for a reason and there's a purpose.
I think so.
Especially if you survive, and you did, and you're thriving, as you say that Johnny and I are. So thank you for that. We put our best foot forward at all times in this crazy world. But, from the discussion we had then and the discussion now, it's funny how everything just happens. Did you create a positive mind frame and not allow negativity to come in? Did you know at the lowest points when you went through the car accident, you still have your beater and you didn't have the job and your family situation, and then how did you create this new job just falling into your lap, or did it?
No, and I didn't. I wouldn't say it was all positive either. I went through quite a lot of. I had a lot of PTSD, sorry, yeah, and I went through some depression and incredible.
That's natural.
And it was tough. I'm also a bit of a neurodivergent person, so I struggle a lot.
What does that mean?
Well, I have, for example, adult ADHD, and that can change your perspective, and also.
And she never went to any wars, Johnny.
And how to deal with that. So it kind of it compounds when you also have like things like mood disorders or issues like anxiety or depression.
Sure.
So
sure.
it's difficult to like sometimes sort things out and to prioritize. You have to really, really fight to do that. And there was a bit of time where I just felt like I was very negative, in fact. And it did come out in bad ways where I accidentally hurt somebody with my words, and I hadn't really intended to, and it came back and bit me hard. And it was like a lesson, like in a way, like, I didn't realize that my own pain and my own frustration and the hurt from this person, that I didn't mean it to come back that way, and something's got blown out of proportion. It wasn't me, but I still have to take ultimate responsibility, and that's something I'm still trying to do, and to recover from that and grow from it. So
that's excellent, and really nicely, concisely said, and that leads into Johnny. And if you'd like to share anything from that, or you're ready to get into the questions.
Sure, let's do the interview. All right. Here we go. 60
here we
minutes.
go.
Mike Wallace.
Let's have some fun.
What is your favorite aspect of teaching?
It was my mom was a teacher, so I kind of fell into it. I did work in the film industry for a while, which was more my dream, but I've always liked teaching because, frankly, I actually really like kids. If you don't like kids, you should not.
They must be nuts about you.
So I really like them, and I'm going to miss next year not having because I taught K to 6 this past few years. I did PE, I did music, I did French, I did the library, of course. I did all this prep, and it was really fun. And I'm going to miss those hugs from the kindergartens and the little things that you get. No, I love seeing them, and I love seeing them grow and develop and learn, and it's just that's truly joyous.
That must be very satisfying.
It is, and when you one good thing about having my own classroom next year is that it's easier to develop a rapport with your students. And you do feel sometimes it's overwhelming, and you don't always have a lot of support, which really would be nice to have a bit more of that in many aspects of the educational system. But at the same time, you do feel that it's kind of a noble calling when you really think about that you do make a difference. And
great answer.
It's really very rewarding to see the kids, and they might not remember you. And there's even a famous saying about that. When they grow up, they may not remember you.
We all remember our teachers.
Well, some of them. But they'll remember how you made them feel. That's something that does stay with kids. And it does develop them into adults. I mean...
Yeah, laughter.
Yeah. We're not
Laughter's the key with kids, man.
Parents are the primary educators, but if we can work with parents as partners, and then we have them 5 hours a day, it can make a difference. And I don't mean just in the the academics, which are important,
Oh yeah, totally.
How to become citizens, how to actually treat each other, how to think about the world and the country that we live in, for example. I'm a very stalwart Canadian. I'm very proud to be Canadian, and I try to communicate.
I love that word, stalwart.
Well, yeah. Awesome. I'm kind of tired sometimes of all the people that we're not perfect. I'm tired of people that are so negative about our country when we are so lucky to be here that we have to make it better. We can't just throw it all out because we're disgusted. We have to actually work to make things better, and that's the only thing we can do. And
it's so interesting. Here at the Canadian Bro Show, looks like it's still spelled incorrectly, eh, Johnny?
It says Canadian.
Oh my God, they did it again, eh? Unbelievable.
I didn't want to bust nothing.
Anyways, no, what I was saying is that here at the Canadian Bro Show, or the Canadian Dan Bro Show, we'll get that sorted. We are Johnny and I are we are sort of the stewards, if you will. We have the stewardship of Canadian pop culture, basketball interviews, and that priority is we hold it to the highest possible esteem, and we try to do it right. However, when you're young and beginning, you got to start from somewhere. So the evolution of the show is exactly about having people understand what's going on in Canada and all different aspects of Canadian culture, and certainly education is a very important part of it. Johnny, what would you like to start off with today with the first question?
Okay, very good. Okay, let's enter the world of Harry Potter. Marianne.
I just happened to be wearing a Harry Potter shirt today.
Oh, that's awesome.
Laundry right now. It was the only clean shirt I had. That's ironically.
Don't say that on the show.
Marianne, everything about you is clean. You're clean with a capital C. Your soul is clean. Everything about you is clean. All right, here we go. You have a magic wand. What changes would you make to the BC education system?
Well, like I
said, deadly earnestness.
Classroom would be nice. Like, we don't have enough EA time, enough people in the trenches. Like, they seem
what is EA time? What is that?
Sorry, educational assistants. Like, we really depend on them. And there's so many students with complex needs, both learning and behavior. And sometimes, like, we're just kind of thrown to the wolves a little bit. And we do our best, but there's not enough funding for a lot of things. Or sometimes if there is funding, but it goes into different kind of ways that aren't that practical. So they sound really good on paper, or they know this new program, but then we don't.
A lot of money gets wasted, right?
Learn them. Like, we're not getting enough Pro D days, or we do have Pro D days, but sometimes we just don't have enough training to try out this new program. This is going to facilitate learning in this area, like this literacy or this numeracy. And sometimes there just isn't time to actually learn it because our workloads are so immense. So more like that kind of funding, and having more adult educators sometimes in the classroom for those kids that really need it, so that you can help everybody or focus on kids. Sometimes like it might be a child who's in intermediate who still can't read, and then it's really hard to be a person and try to have differentiated learning where you're addressing the needs of the the really bright, or give enrichment to the ones that really need that, so they don't get bored, as well as help bring up the ones that are struggling, and so they don't get frustrated or start hating school, which is the last thing you want. You want kids that love being there. At my last school, we had all these kids crying on the last day because they don't want to leave. They love being at school, and it gives them stability in their life, as well as they have security, friendships, fun. Not everybody loves doing all the work, but usually when you see kids really sad to leave, that's a good sign. You don't want kids being, I don't want to be here, and they skip out or kind of.
That speaks well of you.
So I guess that would be what I would wish for.
Quick interjection. You mentioned that in your last job, and perhaps even the new job where you're located, because of the lack of assistance, as you mentioned, which is obvious. We all know about that. That's been going on for decades. Yeah. But you're in a smaller town, and you're not just a PE teacher. You're not just a whatever specialty yours is. You said you're doing 5 or 6 different things. In the curriculum, and that is that helpful, or is that a stretch on the individual because they might have specialist activities in 2 or 3 but not 5 or 6?
Sometimes you just don't have a choice, and once you're certified, you can do everything. But for example, one thing that being in a high school training, I specialized in certain things like English at a high school level. And that means that I'm teaching now math, and I don't have enough training in learning how to teach math properly. And nor do we have enough resources. Sometimes they've taken away textbook learning, which is great but then you still start a year and you don't sometimes always have things you need, and it's good to have a baseline and then develop a program from there that addresses all the numeracy needs that your class has. So it's good to have many skills, and it was difficult to juggle all the different subjects I did as a prep teacher and the librarian, but it was also kind of neat too to be able to have all that ability. So I can teach my own French, I can do my own math, I can do my own PE and whatnot, and a little bit of music. But it'd be nice. There was one school I had in the coast where we had a specialist PE teacher, and they knew what they were doing, and then were really great at coaching, and they had They had more strengths that way. We had a specialist French teacher. We had a specialist music teacher. And that was really nice. They gave prep time to regular teachers. You could focus on the academics in your classroom. And then you still got, somebody who's an expert in those areas, which is definitely beneficial to kids.
Oh, totally.
So sometimes we don't have a choice in what we get to do or what we get to, have for the children, but
Yeah, I did know that, and because we're in school, and Johnny and I, 83, and kids, and if I had a math teacher, that's all they did.
yeah.
And occasionally
Right. That's
Oh,
true.
in high school, it's more.
We had Mr. Anderson who taught English and PE. That's
Well,
what it
I was just going to bring him up as an example because I love taking his English novels 12
me
course.
too. That was really fun.
That was the best course. I'd get an instant A on that. It was a no-brainer. And then in PE, it was fun. Aside from him paddling you if you accidentally farted.
Yeah, just the sadistic side.
Which is not really.
Yeah, well, I'm back in our day, I think.
Does that actually happen to other human beings? Accidentally fart? Because when you're 16 years old and it's 9 o'clock in the morning and you're in PE and you want to let one rip, the best place to do it is off the basketball court, gymnasium floor. You know what I'm saying? Anyways,
Do you play a musical instrument, Marianne?
I play a tiny bit of flute and a little tiny bit of piano. I'm trying to learn. I have a guitar, which I'm trying to learn right now. I mostly teach is like choral singing because that's the one we didn't have enough money in our school to have instruments for all the kids. So, but everybody's born with an instrument right here. It's in your voice.
Yeah.
And that's something that's we're losing is that it used to be our culture, society. People sang. It didn't matter if you're good. You didn't have to be good at it, but people sang. And my students this year loved it. So a lot of them hopefully will continue singing. I introduced different units throughout the year, and I have a lot of different songs. Some of them not for kids, but they love. Some of them
we'll have to get together one of these days for karaoke because I want to hear you sing. I want to hear you sing, Marianne.
Yeah.
Although you have a beautiful voice. I know you're a singer.
You might not want to hear him sing, but I was going to bring up the Welsh. And when they bring up their kids very young, they start them off in the choirs at 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah, music should be in every school, and people
I agree.
sing. We used to grow up singing in the car on long road trips, and as a family. And I remember learning how to sing. I taught some of my students songs I learned in brownies and Girl Guides, and it's great, especially seasonal things that come back to you as you're an adult.
For sure.
Yeah, we just don't sing as much as a society anymore.
Have you heard Johnny sing? It's remarkably horrible, but his writing is extraordinary.
I get nothing but compliments at the bar I go to. Of course, everybody's drunk, so that probably helps.
Yeah, but he's got a few beers in the system at that point, so whatever. I'm just having some fun. Anyways, Johnny, what's your next question, bro?
All right, here we go. You get a bunch of kids together. There's always going to be a bully. How do you, Mr. Kirk, deal with bullies?
That is a difficult one, and there are bullies, and a lot of times people think you have that picture of the boy bully, but there's actually a lot of girl bullies too.
Oh,
Yeah.
where they're ever.
Especially if they get together in a little group and
Inclusive.
call it girl drama.
They can be very spicy, eh?
It can be, yeah, and yet they're sweet too. But it's a difficult time. It's hard to grow up. But obviously bullying is not tolerated, first of all, and so often, if it gets very severe, you actually refer it to our admin, our principal, and who deals with it. But of course, at the classroom level, you can't just let things go. So I don't anyway. So I address it. I don't let it go on. I start it. Stop it right when I see it or I'm told about it. And I'm trying to convince kids that it's not tattling when you're being a responsible, classroom citizen if you bring it forward, because it's for everybody needs to feel safe in the classroom. You can't learn if you don't feel safe. You're not going to be volunteering answers. You're not going to be willing to try new things. So you have to have that sense of safety that somebody isn't going to be able to pick on you or show you down or anything like that. So I talk about it right away, and talk to that student or students, and they usually have to have a consequence. And then bring the parents in. It's actually not one of my favorite aspects of being a teacher is having to make those calls to parents.
You get a kid as a bully. Usually, that's the reason why they're learn from mom and dad.
Yeah, well, sometimes, yeah.
That's why it's even harder dealing with the parents because where the kid learned it from.
Right.
Sometimes it's
Parents need to defend their kids no matter what they've done.
learning this about their little child that they would do that, so sometimes it's really good to be on the same page. That really makes a difference.
Yeah.
And like if we all work as a team between admin and EAs and parents and teacher, and just sometimes you model for the kids what is the right way to behave or how to deal with issues, especially when it's painful, like emotionally painful. Like the victims, for example.
Yeah.
So most
That's
bullying
a tough one. That's a tough one
bullying.
like that.
So it's important to know you have to have that empathy, that compassion for the bullies, because often they're there out of a place of pain. And so, sometimes we have recommended counseling, and there's just not enough counselors. That's another thing I would wish, more counseling for kids, because we just do not have enough school counselors.
Wow, that was a great answer, though.
That's terrific. Okay. What do we have next? How do you motivate your students?
Well, the fact that they can take ownership, if they can take accountability and ownership of their own learning, that usually gets them further. So it's not about like grades, but like if they feel good about what they produce, what they accomplish and what they are able to finish, even if it's like sometimes adapted or like less than.
There's a certain inclusiveness that they seek.
Yeah, and also the fact that they can feel proud of their own learning. If they can feel that way, then they try harder. So you start with setting your expectations high. You don't lower them. You raise them. And most kids will try to work to that expectation. And they feel if you know that you trust them or that you like them. Like kids sense these things. So and that often it's not like you want them to be people pleasers or teacher pleasers or teachers' pets or anything like that, but like that they can use that learning. And it's not about grades. It's about effort. It's about trying. It's about finishing sometimes, rather than like, oh, this is an A or that was only a C. Not that I haven't had to give grades before. And sometimes some kids are motivated by that and by what you write in the report card. But these days, I'll have to say that you can write beautiful books on each student in your report card. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of parents that don't even read it.
A lot of students that don't even read it.
That's right. We always try, kids, you're allowed to read your own report card too, but some little kids can't really read at that level. But even the older ones, when I had grade 5 and 6 for French this year, for example, I said, you should read what I wrote. Because, but some of them can't make them. But
I'm surprised that you're still giving letter grades. I thought that kind of faded in the woodwork.
I should say in report cards, you're right. But they're not even called report cards anymore. They're called learning updates.
Oh, of course.
And like a lot of it's online.
1984.
That's all. What's all online now? We use MyEd, and my district uses MyEd.
Please, not Orwell, please.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but we still print out report cards for those parents that don't have access to. Online or internet, because we have a lot of rural parents and rural, we're old-fashioned as well. But it's not about letter grades anymore. It's about like your effort, and you can have like, what is it called? Proficient. There's like proficient is like you kind of want to get that, or you can have extending if they go beyond, or you can have developing, or or just emerging if you're really struggling. So that's all. They don't have letter grades in elementary. They think they get letter grades again starting in grade 10.
Well, I tell you what, I'm very encouraged by what she's sharing right now, because to have a smaller school size and be up in the, I don't want to say the boonies, British Columbia.
You could. It's okay.
No, I mean, people don't realize how big Canada is. In British Columbia, as I said before on our show, you can put France, Germany, and Italy all in and still have room for the UK. It's that big. But my point is that what you're saying is that important and that special and that big in the school system, because Johnny and I are a little bit older, but I grew up in the Catholic school system, and that would be one of my questions.
And I also went to school, Catholic school.
Well, and that was going to be my next question, but I only have a few questions because I wanted Johnny, he already told me his questions, but I just wanted to get that in because I'm thinking about my grade 1 to grade 6 at St. Augustine's Catholic school. And in the Catholic school system, without experiencing anything else but children's daycare 2 years prior to that, because I was born in early January, so I didn't start grade 1 till 7, as opposed to my sister born in January 1st, who started at 6 years old. That was the biggest mistake. She was 1 year too early, but nobody realized it. Whereas they gave me the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, it's early, but if he faults, we'll just take him back a year later, which they did to my sister. But in the Catholic school system, did you start off in the Catholic school system, or did you start off in public?
Well, when I was in kindergarten, grade 1, I was in North Bay, Ontario, and so the Catholic schools are public schools there. So I was at a Catholic school called the Lydia Fatima, and my mom was teaching there. And then between grade 1 and 2, we moved to BC, and then I was in a public school for grade 2, 2 different public schools in Delta, and then I went to IC Delta for grade 3, 4, and 5, and then St. Mary's in Chilliwack for grade 6 and 7.
Wow!
Wow, you got around.
Yeah, and then I was teaching at IC Dunbar, Immaculate Conception Dunbar, my last 10 years of when I was in Vancouver. And
what's IC stand for?
Immaculate Conception.
Of course. I was just going to say, because that was one of the schools that was in the Catholic school system at the time, was a similar school that was, I actually just forgot it right now, but it was up in Point Grey, and it actually had the smallest gymnasium in British Columbia.
In Point Grey is Our Lady of Perpetual Health.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. How could you forget that name?
They have a pretty big gym now. I've gone to
I know. Thank God. I mean, they finally dumped the money into it. It's only the richest neighborhood back then. But, I mean, the reason why I asked that, because the difference that I saw with Johnny and everybody else, all my friends in the neighborhood of Kitsilano, north of 4th, was they all went to public schools, except me. And Keith Bickford, actually, and his sister Leanne were also at Kitsilano briefly before they found a way to get the heck out of there. And is there any distinct difference between the public and private school systems today, aside from financial? Because we didn't have any finances from the government at that point.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. So
in the 70s, yeah.
Yeah, a difference between private school and independent school in BC.
Right.
So private school I can't talk too much about because I've never taught at one or never went to one.
But a private school can also be a Catholic school in the Catholic leagues, right?
Well,
like Van College or...
well, yes, you're right. Vancouver College is separate.
But there's 3 female ones as well, right?
There's Our Lady... No, what is it?
They're wealthy ones. Well, there's St. George's also. That's private. That's not necessarily Catholic, although it's named after a Catholic.
St. George's is a prestigious private boys' school. And
and there's the prestigious girls' ones on the west side as well, right?
Crofton House.
Crofton House, yes, York House, and there was a third one too.
LFA.
Thank you. You are good. But I was always curious about how the Catholic private schools and the Catholic public schools and then non-Catholic public schools that I grew up in, and that's changed obviously.
The only difference really is like in the independent systems in BC, like in the Catholic school, is that you follow all regular BC curriculum, even when it's like the redesigned curriculum recently, and everything is followed like to the T. In fact, you have more, you get audited more because so you have to follow more. We had to do more paperwork to make sure all our ducks were in a row. And it was actually more work, but we really followed the curriculum, and everything's very public. The only difference was that we also had to have a certain percentage. We had to teach religion and show that. That was a mandate. And 50% of the tuition was paid by parents. The other 50% is by government. Right. And there wasn't still enough, so usually there's always fundraising in an independent or private school too. And like we were to have not schools on the other side of the fence of St. George's. They had everything, and we had very little. Like and our school was unique in the fact that we had a lot of kids from obviously affluent families in that area, Dunbar. But we also had a big percentage of our Musqueam students from Musqueam Reserve.
Of course, yeah.
And so it was quite a dichotomy. Like we'd have very struggling families along with very privileged ones in the same classroom. So it gave you a different perspective, and you had to be very sensitive, and you had to help teach children how to be sensitive.
Wow, that's really interesting. Great answer.
Not an orange in their stocking, or other kids were talking about going on cruises and getting the latest Wii, or at the time Wii, but you know what I mean.
And of course, when you use the word religion, it could mean it opens a whole can of worms, because it could be take a religion A to Z. Take your choice.
Well, it depends.
Most of it was Catholic, though, right?
We had to teach Catholic, but there's also non-Catholic Christian schools in Vancouver. There's also Jewish schools. There's Muslim schools. Yep. So I don't know if there's any Indo-Canadian religious.
There is now, but in the 70s, it was you didn't have a choice to go. You had to go to St. Augustine. You had to go to a Catholic school system, right?
You had to teach a certain percentage of religion.
Right. Got it.
But otherwise, everything is the same as public.
Cool.
And here in BC, I can't speak to other provinces. But
Well, excellent answer. Thank you. Sorry about that, Johnny. I was just really curious.
No, it's all very interesting. Marianne, how do you deal with a difficult parent? Well, we're kind of segging from bullying.
Johnny, is that plural or singular? I would add an S
You
on
have you have meetings with parents. A mom comes in or dad comes in, and you have to discuss something that is potentially explosive, and they have such a defensive reaction. What's your technique for dealing with such a difficult person?
You have to be very diplomatic, and you have to really know that, first and foremost, they're there because they love and care for their child. The most difficult parents are the ones that don't really care, and there unfortunately are some parents like that. And then when you go to a meeting, they didn't come to parent-teacher interviews. Most kids are there because we're all on the same side. And once they realize that you're on the side of their child, it's not like you want to get them in trouble or you're not judging them. You just want to find ways to help them and and help them help their child, because the parents are the primary educators, and that's really important that they realize that, and that we're there a certain number of hours, but not as much as they are at home. And for a child that's struggling, it's all about helping them first and foremost. It should never become a confrontation. It should be right. What we're doing, or we're on the same team, let's figure something out together as adults.
Totally.
Some parents, might be responsive, and sometimes you have to call in the administration. Sometimes you can only meet with the parent if as a school-based team, which is a lot easier. You have the learning support teacher, you have maybe the main EA, you have yourself, you have the principal, and you can work on a student growth plan or an IEP, independent education plan, together with the parents where they have some say. And then you have to follow it. And it's almost like they have an agreement to do this because, we can't do it on our own. And we just can't. We need the parents. And it really is. It takes a village to raise a child. That's so true. It's not all on one person, either the parent or the teacher.
Have you ever said to your parent, I'm sorry, you're too unreasonable, you're not communicating, we have to end this?
Well, I have had to, actually. There was one time at that school, there was one time where the parent was completely, in a parent-teacher interview night, completely unreasonable, and I actually had to say, please leave.
Good for you.
My colleague, and that's very rare, but if they can.
And did they?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Yeah, I've never had to kick someone out.
Don't mess with Marianne Kirk. She'll kick your ass.
Yeah, it was very upsetting, actually. I remember, so that's why I remember it so clearly, even though it was years ago. But yeah, it was, and I heard the next year.
But that's why they behave that way, because nobody ever stands up to them.
Sometimes we've had some helicopter parents that have to know how to back off a little bit, and others that are just very judgmental. And sometimes, you just have to sometimes you just have to nod and smile, because that's sometimes all that they're willing to hear from you.
Right. How would you define a lousy teacher?
Well, first of all, a teacher that doesn't care. Okay, so and unfortunately, we do have some colleagues who
they're going through the motions for a salary that is really not a lot, but they get their summers free.
Yeah, not paid though. It's
they're just punching a clock.
But yeah, there are some teachers, if they don't really care, the kids feel it. And so, some teachers, despite feeling like, sometimes they act like they don't care, but they're actually really great teachers. And they're just not going to let things ruffle their feathers. And, but they actually do care. But, they can get along well with the students. But, and sometimes, I don't know, a teacher that doesn't know how to use humor and doesn't have compassion, they have to have care, and you have to have your knowledge base too. But that's the last thing, because you can always learn that. You can learn how to teach this subject. You can do your studies. You can learn how to do it sometimes just by doing. But if you don't actually have that care and compassion for the kids as kids, and you have to have classroom management skills too. But if you're and I think setting boundaries is important. Often kids respond better to a strict teacher for that reason than to, anything goes.
Remember Mrs. Uchiyama, Paul?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Oh, boy, nobody ever messed around in her class.
Well, I had her one time.
Behave themselves.
We had a trimester at Kitsilano, and every trimester we had to choose our 5 courses, and 4 would be academic and 1 would be a free course, whatever you want. And
grammar.
they made a glitch, and I did not choose Mrs. Uchiyama. I chose Mrs. White for English literature. And I ended up in her class, and the first thing she did when I sat down, she goes, "You have never taken any of my classes," and this is grade 12, "in high school. Why are you here now?" And I said, "It was a glitch." And she laughed. She goes, "You can go." And I just got up and left.
She liked to say, whenever she got pissed at a student, she would say, "What do you think?" That was her catchphrase.
Oh, of course, because she wanted to put you on the spot. She was married to Mr. Uchiyama, who was a PE teacher, an Asian dude.
I was gonna say it sounds Japanese. That's so
Yeah, and he was. I avoided him in all PE classes as well. By the way, thank God we had a choice.
I had a Japanese Canadian algebra 11 teacher up here, and he was fantastic. I graduated from Kalelin.
Oh, they were both great. It was just if you got to choose someone that's more personality wise, that you would feel more comfortable with.
I mean, I like my style is I like to be a little easygoing, but I have to set limits too at a certain point. Even this year, I was really strict on one of these girls in my class, a grade 4 girl and her friend, and I had to be because their behavior was just unacceptable. Yeah. And at the end of the year, one of the girls came up to me and said, "I'm really sorry you have to leave, Miss Kirk." And I looked at her and I was like surprised she said that because we'd been had struggles all year. And I only had that class grade 4-5 on Fridays, and I was a job sharing for that part of my job with the regular grade 4-5 teacher. And I said, "Oh, that's really nice of you." And she goes, and I said, "Even though I was really strict with you," and she goes, "Yeah, but I know it was just you doing your job."
So that's really sweet.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Someone will go far in life, I think.
That's awesome. Johnny, what do you got, bro?
Okay. What is your favorite subject to teach?
Okay. That's a hard one.
That's a good question, though.
We
Really,
had to pick one out of the whole bunch.
Like the little kids, I really, really love. Well, I like social studies actually because I love teaching mapping and geography and history. I've always loved that too. I think it's fun. In grade 4, I'll get to teach about the fur trade and the early Canadian explorers, and from John Cabot and Samuel de Champlain up to.
You're despairing.
So yeah, but I think language arts. Because there's just so much you can do in language arts. It's not just about learning reading or writing. The writing is part of it, and as a writer, I try to get my students to feel like writers. So we do journaling, we do creative writing, and I love teaching. Like we do novel studies. So this past year, every Friday we did Narnia. We did The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Oh man, what a great!
And we had Narnia Day to celebrate.
Oh my goodness!
Kids seem to love that. I've done it for many years, and
I first picked up Narnia, and they got to the bedroom with the magical wardrobe, and I just lost it. It was like it's Star Trek, bringing up a Star Trek quote for Johnny. The carbon data transfer. You just step on the thing and you can go anywhere in the world. I instantly went from my bedroom and my bunk bed to that wardrobe and stepped in with them. And it was the most amazing experience of my young life.
It was A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh,
have you read that one?
Too. Yeah, Madeline.
I read that book many times I think it was the first book that I read from beginning to end.
Wow.
Yeah, for all these kids, it was their first novel, and it was beyond some of them to be able to read because there was an adapted version that my school bought last year, kind of an abridged version, so easier to read. And I'm going, no, we're not using that. We're going to read the original with everything that C.S. Lewis actually wrote, including British terms, and we can learn from that. And so some kids, they just had to. It was like more that they listened, and they still got the value of learning literature without being able to read every page, but. Other kids could read along. It was their first time, and so I really wanted to have them feel that magic of the story and how great literature can be. I had to be very careful with Narnia because, as you know, it's Christian allegory. I didn't cut out anything like that in the public school, although I taught it before at the Catholic school. But it still doesn't matter because those themes are there, and you can still do it just as a straight book. And I always, in my other schools, when I had my own class, I taught grade 5 for 5 years and grade 3 for 3 years down in the coast. And I always taught Narnia in the winter and then Harry Potter in the spring. So maybe this year I'll get to go back and have all this stuff for both Narnia and Harry Potter. I bought my Narnia sword. I have King Peter's sword.
Oh, wow. That is the perfect female bro.
You're too awesome, Marianne.
What do you got next, Johnny?
Okay, I got 2 more questions.
Okay.
What advice would you give to an introverted child?
Well, as an extroverted introvert, or maybe I'm an introverted extrovert, I can kind of relate to that.
Say that 5 times.
Sound like Mary Poppins.
A lot of kids are like, I love people, but at the same time I'm shy, and sometimes it can be hard in social situations. So I can relate to some of these kids. So yeah, try to draw them out of their shell a little bit. Have them, like, some of them are just so, often the introverted ones are very, very creative. Like they can really know how to use their imagination. So try to develop that more and try to like celebrate it a little bit. But also, I don't know if I would say advice to them, because they would have to say something very specific for
Just tell them that you'll set up a one-on-one meeting with Pippi Longstocking with them.
They wouldn't know what that is these days, I'm afraid. But yeah.
Remember SCTV Pippi Longstocks with John Candy?
Yeah. Oh my God. That was.
And he was throwing people around.
They were the best. They were the best.
Balls. Yeah, that was classic. Okay, I have one more question and then I'm done. Here we go. The best for last. And this is actually an idea that Paul gave me, so I have to give Paul credit for this one. What political aspect of the BC education system pisses you off the most?
Oh.
I kind of touched on that earlier, but
for me, with the politics of BC, it's always negative.
Well, first of all, we're very lucky as teachers in the public system to have the BCTF. So that really helps, the BC Teachers Foundation, because they really can go to bat for you when there's sometimes problems with our employer. And recently, like, we almost went on strike this past year, which nobody wanted. It would have been awful, and we would have not been paid, $100 a day, I think, strike pay, and not for that long. But we really needed to really work on things like class size and composition, because sometimes we'll have overfull classes with lots of special needs. Like this last year, my class had a young student with Down syndrome. I had other kids that still at grade 5 didn't know how to read, and yet there's not any support. And so, you have to have at least enough EAs to help with students with special needs, or at least a smaller class. And that's what some of this negotiating was really about, not just about wage or benefits, salary and benefits, although those things are important as well. Right. Luckily, we didn't have to go on strike, because the employer, we managed to. They managed to come up with a good agreement that satisfied both parties. Yeah. But yeah, in terms our province, in terms of it's hard. Yeah, it's just sometimes provincially, the Ministry of Education is still looking like, even our district. I love my district, but they also sometimes are so focused on money, on dollars and butts and seats, more than the care and needs of the students and the teachers. There's burnout. I have to say, I'm burnt out. And thank goodness for summer, but it's still a long time to go between paychecks. I don't get paid again until the end of, or in the middle of September. And you need to feel like you're supported. And sometimes there's a lot of talk about being supported. There's all these programs, but in the end, sometimes it comes down to money, and that's very frustrating.
And my final question would be, with regards to money and finances, teachers have long complained about not being respected, much like nurses, although nurses are paid more than teachers, from what I understand, for the most part these days. Is the teaching education, is it being sort of ostracized by the political, all levels of political in British Columbia? It could be anywhere in Canada, actually, because you have 4 months off in the summer, and it's like, why do you feel that you need to? I know, but they say 4 months, but I know it's not 2 months, but you think about it, it's really June. Nothing really happens in June. So June, July, August, September.
No, that's not true at all.
Well, have you ever been to high school in Vancouver?
Well, I'm not in high school, so you're right. High school maybe is different, but
yeah, I mean, as soon as June 1st happens, even the last week of prior, people are just going through the motions. They're getting their yearbooks and they're going around getting signatures, and they're making sure in their last trimester they've got 3. They haven't chose a couple
I remember
of blocks.
Just to interject briefly, I remember playing a lot of hooky in grade 12.
Yeah, and man, me too.
I was never disciplined.
That's what I was getting at.
Days when I just said, I'm not going to school today. Yeah. And I never got crap for it.
Nope.
Mm-hmm. Well, kids kind of weird. But that is high school. You're kind of treated as young adults by grade 12, and it's your decision.
Yeah.
Right? In elementary, it's not like that. And in junior high, it's not quite like that, or it shouldn't be anyway. Yeah. We had to teach right to the very end and keep things crisp and active and engaged all the time. Even after report cards were done, we still had work, and Yeah, they had to. Otherwise, you would have complete chaos. Already, there were kids that were checking out in grades, especially grade sixes, because they're leaving, and that was really hard because they still had to be in school, and you don't want to have mass chaos and discipline problems, and even at the end, because teachers are very tired by that point, where they're stressed and burnt out, and like you try to keep things smooth.
It's like the last day of school. You get in your car and you just want to get the heck out of there and enjoy your summer.
Right.
Yeah, I had to do a lot of packing, so I didn't even get to leave the last day until I had to go back on Friday for a midday.
I know I shouldn't have brought that up, but I mean you did share that with us. But anyways, this is just honestly, it's been really wonderful to have you back, and we're just at under an hour, and we got to give at least 10-12 minutes for the last part of the episode for Johnny's superb writing and whatever book we're reading. And then a pun before we finish up. And so this is where Johnny takes over. And Johnny, again, slow down on the reading, speak into the mic, let everybody enjoy your writing because it's really superb.
Thank you so much.
And tell everybody about the lovely character and where the character's based in the year and everything, because it's really, it resonates with folks our age because of what we grew up. And I mean, maybe we should do a show on television shows or movies that had private investigators, and
We haven't done that.
well, we have done it, but I'm talking the three of us. When we do a movie review or a television review series, which we want to do later. But in the meantime, Johnny, are you ready to share your masterpiece this week?
Well, if you're going to twist my arm, Paul, I guess I can do this. I am a self-published author. My boy is named Lee Hacklin. This is my most recent one. It's called Separation Anxiety. And in this one, the Canadian ambassador to the United Nations, his name is Mitch McKenna, which was the most Canadian name that I could come up with. I'm just looking at my Samsung notes. He has been kidnapped by a French terrorist group. So this is the final chapter. Here we go. New York City, 1978. I parked my sweet ride in front of a Central Park townhouse. Evidently, French-Canadian terrorists have deep pockets. As I crossed the street, I espied a ghostly face behind the window on the second floor. A curtain closed, not the least bit terrifying. Maybe this place was haunted. My brownie was tucked into the front of my jeans. The safety's on, right? It is. Knock, knock. No answer. Boom. The townhouse effing exploded. The blast sent me airborne. I landed butt first in a garden of roses. Was it bereft of thorns? No, I'm not that lucky. Ouch, ouch, ouch. On the other hand, every Canadian's favorite phrase, I was still alive. My Arthur ashes were on fire. Damn, I just got these. I kicked them off just as a white van screeched to a halt in front of me. The driver's side window rolled down. Viva le Quebec Libre! Sacre bleu! It was none other than the currently on strike New York Transit bus driver and egger of custom-made buses. This is my weirdest case ever, eh?
Good effort on the French-Canadian, by the way.
Thank you. He pointed a shotgun at my balls and fired. I raised my leg just in time. It's okay, ladies. I'm intact and virile. I rolled to my feet, drew Mr. Browning, and gave Egghead, a new orifice. Bon appetit, old scratch. I found a garden hose, turned the water on, and made a safe path for myself as I ran into my latest inferno. The floor was littered with body parts and slick with blood. Good riddance. I opened the kitchen door, ran down a flight of stairs, and found Mitchell McKenna lying next to a washer and dryer. He was naked, coughing, and emaciated. Woe to the wicked who crossed my path. I took off my jacket and draped him. My name's Lee Hacklin, sir. I'm taking you home. There's only one thing I don't like about myself. I'm just too damn awesome. And so are you, dear reader. And that is the end of Lee Hacklin, private investigator in Separation Anxiety. Thank you.
That's excellent, Johnny.
How long is your book? How many pages?
The first few were about 100 to 200 pages. They're getting shorter and shorter. Like this one is about 20
novella, then, so a quick read.
I kind of see them as it's like a long-running television series.
Okay, episodic.
Yeah. It's episodic, yeah.
That's essentially what he's trying to do. Get a
more
Netflix 70s
alone.
And
I've got a lot of characters. The first few books had a lot of supporting characters, and I just kind of I can see how there are continuity issues because when you're in the middle of it, you kind of want to focus on what you feel that works, and just kind of disregard what you feel is superfluous. So it's basically all about Lee because he's me. Love it.
And Kalelin, are you reading anything in particular right now that's on your desk or something that's on your mind?
I've I've been reading a couple of nonfiction books, just bits. I don't always read nonfiction from cover to cover.
Yeah.
It depends. And one is kind of like about education, about how to inspire new readers or struggling readers, I should say,
Yeah.
rather than readers. And in fiction, in summer I tend to like be a little less academic, and I'm working on a little bit of writing, trying to rebuild my thesis and turn that into a nonfiction book, as well as work on a book that I've been working on, a fun one for a long time, a fantasy type novel. And so I've been reading. I read the Stargate's SG-1 novel recently. It's sort of like my great candy, like I'll read like adaptations, and I've been reading some graphic novels, some Justice League.
Cool.
I ordered because
You're very eclectic, Marianne, and always wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that sounds good. Everybody's still reading. Johnny, what are you reading these days?
I got this at the library just now. City of Vengeance by D.V. Bishop. It is a murder mystery set in Florence, 1563.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
also reading Lord of the Rings and 5 or 6 other books. I love to read. I'm a voracious
He
reader.
bounces from books like I do.
I need to read more, and that's
I'm reading. I had an experience of meeting this woman in person in 2019, and she is a deity in India. There's millions of deities apparently, but she's a special one. She's one of one, and her name is Amma, A-M-M-A, and she built a city for poor people in southern India, and has been building that city out for decades now. She started at 13, and she travels the world and hugs people. And it's all her religion is love. And she is 100% dedicated and devoted to the Ayurvedic way of life, if you want to follow the holistic aspect of it. And this is the lovely and talented Amma playing a musical instrument. And this particular novel is called Waves of Grace. And essentially, Waves of Grace is the first ever compilation of experiences published in Matravani, the flagship production of MA Math, penned by devotees of all walks of life and many corners of the world. The articles have been taken over a 27-year period of Amma's travels in the world, and they touch on a wide range of issues, including disease, addiction, and other misfortunes, as well as Amma's guidance, inspiring example of elevating presence. And these encounters with divine grace testify to Amma's unfathomable compassion and splendor of her spiritual influence. And wow. I've been following her ever since, and every day I don't go through a day without at least 10 to 20 mantras directed towards her. And often people in my family, friends that are with us or passed recently or in the process of passing. And I couldn't be any closer to the best place I've ever been spiritually in my life because of her.
How did you get to meet her?
I went to Bellevue in Seattle, Washington, with my uncle Stefan, who is a devotee of not only her, but he was with the Maharishi way back in the 70s when he had 11 Rolls Royces. And I once went to my uncle Stefan and said, why does he need 11 Rolls Royces? He goes, he's got a lot of devotees, and a lot of them are in the top echelon of what I'm trying to do. And I was just like, my God, this guy's got way too much money. But Amma doesn't do anything. She doesn't have anything that she owns in personal. She cooks as she travels, and she has nothing. She's created a city, and my uncle Stefan and his daughter both bought a small self-contained unit in her city for 25,000 Canadian, and that's where they want to ascend into the next life after this one. So it's pretty interesting, pretty inspiring, but it's all about my entering into Buddhism and then finding Amma. And that sort of completed me personally. And so every day, that's part of what I do. I started with Catholicism, and just, some of the dogma of Catholicism wasn't really working. And as I got older, I was looking for something different in life, and I found it. And the beautiful thing is, anytime anybody's looking for, solace and a possible rainbow over the clouds, it's possible. Keep on looking. You'll find it. It'll come to you. And manifest that. And when it does, hold on to it and work it. It's like cultivate it like a garden. And anyways, really happy to have you guys here with us. We're going to wrap the show up. Is there anything before we leave that you'd like to say? Your job that you got, did you just get it recently?
Yes. Well,
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Relief. I'm
Really
so
good.
relieved for you.
But,
I was worried about you. I'm still worried about you.
Yeah, me too. I said it's only a temporary position again, so I have to go through this all.
Yeah,
again,
of course.
This angst of trying to decide and find something.
Better than nothing, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was really sad to leave my last school and my librarian position, especially. But it's also kind of nice sometimes for a change. It can be refreshing to your mental and spiritual health. And got to meet my new principal, and
Cool.
it's going to be a little portable, but it's going to be kind of exciting as well because it's a new change, and yeah.
Well, I think the angels came down and presented that with you to be able to keep what you have now because you need to be where you're at for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, I think there's a thing, like you said, everything happens for a reason, and I think this might be a very good step, and I had to trust in providence above a little bit.
And how's your faith in general? Is it pretty good?
I think of myself as a faithful person, a person of faith.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
And,
So do Johnny and I. It works in your favor if you believe it.
I think so.
Yeah.
When I didn't have faith, I wasn't doing anything. The moment I decided to have faith, I became much closer to my mind's eye version of myself than ever before.
Good point. I mean, what a wonderful show, man. I mean, honestly, thank you for joining us again. We're approaching an hour here. And thank you, Johnny, for the questions. They're excellent. And once again, we've been asking weekly for a while, and thank you very much for finding the time to join us. And it's really important that we have a Female Bro Show on the Female Bro Show because it just opens up a lot of people that might be like a female bro, but they didn't know they were a female bro, and there's nothing wrong with being a female bro. And sometimes Johnny has told me in private times that he wakes sometimes and he thinks he's a female bro, and I'm like, really?
No, I've never said that.
No.
Your nose is growing, Paul.
It actually, apparently, our ears and nose and a few other aspects of our bodies in the vessel continue to grow until we're not there. And I'd rather not have my nose and ears grow as much as they have because as you get older, it just looks a little bit odd. But my head's so large that I think I could fill it out. So anyways, once again, I'm going to bring you guys out. And
There we go.
Oh, my God. I thought we were going to get out without having a pun.
You gotta have the pun, Paul.
Okay,
otherwise it's not the Canadian Bro Show. It's the most important part, other than Marianne Kirk.
It's the Canna-Din Dan Show. Bro show.
That's the choice.
Oh, that's so embarrassing. I already fixed that. I can't believe that. Just drives me insane. Anyways,
here we
Johnny,
go.
Go ahead.
This might be a rerun, but this is the best I could come up with. Mountains are not funny. They're hill areas. Thank you. No? Crickets?
No, I mean, she's laughing.
Audience.
I just...
Very hilarious.
It's good, but sometimes I think the presentation of the pun... Come on, Johnny.
Paul is such a taskmaster.
Not at all. I mean, just saying, dude, use your skills, bro. And I've been on Johnny for almost 2 years now to write his own puns, but, someday. But everybody, I'm going to take you guys out right now and close everything off. Once again, Marianne, Kalelin, Marianne, Kirk, Kalelin, Marianne, thank you very much for joining us. Really important to talk about something that Johnny and I know very little about, except our own personal experiences that were a long time ago. So to be able to have someone that's here and in it and then not in it, and then all of a sudden back in it, congratulations. Good things happen to good people, and you're good people. So thank you kindly for joining us. I'm going to take you out, and we look forward to have you on sooner than later. However your schedule can work out, we'll be in touch. In the meantime, take care, Kalelin, and we look forward to bringing you back on, and we'll let you know when the show is up, of course. And thanks for joining us, everybody. The wonderful, talented Kalelin Marianne Kirk. Just an extraordinary 21st century woman, trailblazing up in Williams Lake, trying to keep it real. And Johnny and I, we love that. Exactly. She's like a Wonder Woman. So thank you again. I'm taking you out. We'll talk to you soon. Johnny, once again, incredible, beautiful questions. And thank you for help staying in contact with Marianne and being persistent and understanding that, the right time will come, and thank God we had a chance to do it today. So that was awesome. Appreciate that. I'm going to take you out, Johnny, and we're going to be wrapping up the show. I just want to say, once again, thank you for joining the Canadian Bro Show. My name is Paul Bale. I'm the founder and host of the Canadian Bro Show, and this is episode 80. It's going to be out in the next week and a half. And we're very happy to bring back for the third time Kalelin Marianne Kirk, and hopefully she's going to be regular on the show and possibly be a guest host as we move forward with the show. In the meantime, on behalf of the co-host of the most, Mr. Johnny Leister, one of the most prolific writers and a friend of over 52 years of my life, the last thing I want to share with you all in this mad world is just be kind out there, everybody. Try to do something nice. Be kind. Don't expect anything from it. Make somebody's second, make somebody's hour, make somebody's day, make somebody's life. You can do it free, and it's easy. And this is what we need more in this world. In the meantime, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everyone. Peace.